Hey now, Judi Moolten, Grateful Mindset Properties Realty Radio Show host. Coming to you live each week on Saturdays here at 9 a.m. on 107.7 FM, AM 1450, and online at gratefulmindsetproperties.com, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We have video and audio as well as live recordings of our show. Thank you so much for listening each week, Saturday mornings at 9, to local real estate through national news with fun facts, art, science, human interest, and local guests. Glad to be back. And lastly, I'm grateful for consumer advocacy. This is why I'm here each week, bringing local guests, local news, and local culture, volunteering my time to bring information to the public, wanting to make sure each person I encounter knows that they have rights and what those are and how to help them get answers to what they don't know or what they may not be aware of in the local area and beyond. Also, shout out to real estate agents and brokers out there. We are hiring. Please give me a call or text me at 828-290-0940. Again, Judi Moolten, gratefulmindsetproperties.com. Judi Moolten, Grateful Mindset Properties Realty Radio Show host. So, quick facts. Grateful Mindset Properties was founded in 2020, serving Western North Carolina and beyond with a grateful mindset. We are local experts in real estate and more. We have an office in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and Lenox Park. We serve all of Western North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia. We have a local focus in Hendersonville, Asheville, Brevard, Canton, Waynesville, just to name a few. We have our office right along the Acosta Trail, and we bring local guests, local art, and local culture every week to you live. On the MLS today, some things to note. So right now, we have about 20 new listings, a few price increases, a few price decreases, and back on the market. Median price point, $450,000. That's across the United States. And we also have some fast stats. So I'd like to share some Henderson County, North Carolina fast stats year to date. So from last year to this year at this time, we are down almost 8% new listings. Pending sales, we are down about 6.7%. Closed sales, we are down about 15%. The median sale price has rose about 6.2%. Average sale price anywhere from $450, $460 to $496 on average, and it's up about 0.74%. From listing to closing, on average, about 80 days on market, on average about 30 days. So when we say list to closing, that means from when it's listed till when it actually closes, because sometimes we have seller possession after closing, and so it may sit or may remain occupied with the seller, so the seller can buy property. And if you want to know more about that, if you want to know more about what your neighbors are selling their house for, if you want to know more about listing property, that is one thing. We are certified expert listing agents at Grateful Mindset Properties. Please give me a shout out at 828-290-0940. Also some fast stats. Let's look at the Asheville metro area, the whole region. Now this is the weekly market activity report. So some quick facts for the week ending, it would be right before Thanksgiving actually in terms of a weekly report, because we're usually behind about a week or so, just like with our putting up our new videos and new audio recordings. They're usually back about a week, but you can always find them on our website at gratefulmindsetproperties.com, youtube.com, and more. So some quick facts. We're up about 17.4%. So change in new listings 1 week to the next in November, up 17.4%. Change in pending sales, we're up 18.9%. Change in inventory, we're up 5.6%. So that's really important. Median sale price increased 9.2% to about $415,000. New listings on average for the week are about 5. So now let's take a look at where we are with interest rates. Now this is important. I know everybody's waiting with bated breath. So when interest rates raise, when interest rates lower, obviously if you're paying cash, it doesn't have a huge impact, but interest rates are down. We're at 7.2% for the 30-year fixed and 6.5% for the 15-year. So we're down a little bit, and they may go down a little bit more before the end of the year. They may go up a little bit more. You know, it's like riding a wave. Something I'd really like to talk about, it was in the Asheville Citizen Times. It's called Missing the Middle. So there's a new study that pursues more townhomes, duplexes, multiplexes in the Asheville metro area. So I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on some news that just came out just this week. So a boxy brick mid-20th century fourplex, a 1920s two-story house with 5 mailboxes on its front porch. I want you to picture Asheville, right? Downtown Asheville, Montford area, blue duplex on Montford Ave, on the main drag. You know, it might be a beauty salon, once was a beauty salon. It only takes you a few minutes to walk through the Montford Area Historic District and turn up several examples of the sought-after missing middle housing. So if you're not familiar with Montford, it's like right in that downtown area. You're close to everything, like 10 minutes to, you know, Whole Foods, you know, art, culture, theater, wineries, breweries, live music. So the missing middle, these are the housing types that a new $85,000 study funded in 2022 by the Asheville City Council. It set out to explore this missing middle. After 6 months of research, the public engagement and analysis, the draft of the study that was released on November 17th, what they found. Number 1, answer to those housing woes, this missing middle. This may be one of the most strongest and most helpful housing studies to date in the Asheville metro area. They took a deeper dive into the housing typology and the unaffordability that gives, you know, Asheville, that especially Asheville, the city of Asheville, their name. You know, last year we saw properties selling on average anywhere from $80,000. The highest I saw was $160,000 over list in the last 1 to 2 years. So Asheville has hit a pretty high market, and you know, it has to come down. That's what all of us keep talking about. So Sage Turner, who's a council member, one of the 3 council members on the city's Planning and Economic Development Committee, reviewed a draft on a study that was done, and it was led by the consultants in California, a design company that looks at all of the logistics and kind of looks at what's going on. And they looked at traffic hotspots, they look at large changes in neighborhoods, they looked at those woes somewhere in the middle, the missing middle. You know, when we talk about the missing middle, think of it more like the middle class. There's something missing. We talk about how the middle class in this country has been disappearing since, you know, I would say the early 2000s. There's been a conversation about this. So some of the reaction of that, so the new housing that's being built alongside the existing housing stock is not keeping up with the current and future housing needs in terms of variety and types and price points. This is what the study showed. Again, the missing middle. So if the median price point is $450,000 across the nation, I can tell you that in the Asheville area, for example, it is almost impossible in Asheville, Montford, West Asheville to find something for $450,000 or $500,000. You cannot find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with any 0.25 acres of land in that price point. So one of the largest missing middle developers in the area talked about, hey, we need to take a look at this. We need to take a closer look at this, at more of a holistic approach to it. We need to bring back that missing middle and price things 2 2s, 3 2s in that 1,800 square foot to 2,000 square foot range. Price things in that $450,000 to $500,000 price point. Make things available in an affordable standpoint. If that's the median price point, we need to create more inventory. We don't want people to have to drive 30, 45 minutes outside of Asheville, 30 to 45 minutes outside of Hendersonville to find a home. You know, a 1-1 in Asheville is about $250,000. A 1-1 in Hendersonville, about the same. It could be $225 on average. $300,000 for a double wide. A single wide might be $300,000 if it was built in 2015 or later. So these are things to really take a look at and to consider. You know, maybe call me, text me. Let's look at listing your property. Call me, text me. Let's look at building some property, and I can give you some information about that. I have a builder, a residential general licensed contractor with a lot of fabulous and grateful subcontractors that can help with that. 828-290-0940. Please reach out for any reason or no reason. So let's talk a little bit about some things, some projects that, you know, if you're looking at listing your property, you're looking at buying property, one of the things that's come down the pike that's really interesting. So we're switching gears now, moving away from the missing middle, but call me if you want to know more about that. Call me, text me, email me, gratefulmindsetproperties.com, Grateful Mindset Western North Carolina, or Grateful Mindset WNC at gmail.com. 828-290-0940. Reach out for any reason or no reason. But some of the things that are happening in building right now, two-toned kitchens seem to be popular. You know, if you can picture a two-toned kitchen, what that looks like. Simply you paint some cabinets in one color and a handful of others in a different hue. Maybe you have different poles, you know, different colors or poles or designs. You know, some might be square, some might be rectangular. So you try to do some two tones, but you do it with you know, synchronicity. It's synchronized. It's easy on the eyes. It flows well. The shapes aren't too different. But why should you paint your cabinets two-toned? A two-toned kitchen design makes your space stand out, but there are more reasons to choose two different cabinet colors for your space. Here are a few reasons why it's a good idea. And this is something that's been popular in the last year. So two-tone kitchen design makes your space stand out, but it also they blend well together. So again, the hues are slightly different, but it stands out, and it's easy on the eye, and it's very classy and very, you know, popular. And then you also do that with walls and flooring, and they come in similar shades. So you work within those similar shades. You can do a backsplash as well. It draws the eye to the design and the highlight. So some designers are using these two tones to draw the eye to a design feature, because whenever you're selling your home or you're buying a home, you want each room, each area, you always want to have a standout feature to showcase. For example, let's say you've chosen some countertop materials in your island. It might not stand out enough on its own, but placing a lighter or darker cabinet, that will help bring a stunning stone or stunning painted wood base alongside of it. Will help bring the eye to that design highlight. Two tones exude a modern but classic style. You don't have to change anything, and it's not hugely expensive. It's affordable. That two-tone cabinet effect, that two-tone modern and classical style, it allows for that helm and that full, you know, renew and renovation and remodel. It's a weekend overhaul. You know, you don't have to break your bank. And after a few days, you have a space that feels completely different to you, the homeowner, as well as those buyers that are out there. So think about that two-toned cabinet, that two-toned splash, that two-toned wood, whatever it is, to create an effect. And if you want to know more, I have stagers. If you're looking at listing, I have stagers on staff that can help with this. Reach out and let me know. So another thing that's a highlight or fun fact that's happening in the Asheville metro area, in the Hendersonville area and beyond, and close by and across the United States, is single home ownership. It's at record levels. So is single home ownership, is that for you? That's really the question. And that's something we can talk about live in person, because I like to show versus tell. So, you know, I can come by and we can talk about it more. You can listen to my radio show, you know, each week. You can also hear a previous show from the weeks before. But why is single home ownership an option, and is it for you? There are times when buying a home, there was a time when a single person buying a home was nearly unheard of. And if you were listening on the radio a couple weeks back to one of my guests, I had London Maribel, who talked about single home ownership, and she talked quite a bit about that, and that was really interesting. But that is changing. So single home ownership used to be something that was unheard of. Now we're seeing, especially with Gen X and anything before that, your 20-somethings, your 30-somethings, your 40-somethings. According to the National Association of Realtors, that single individuals made up 28%, almost 30% of home sales last year. A whopping 17% of that 28% was single female buyers, many of them in that 30 plus age. There was a time when buying a home as a single person was nearly unheard of, but that again is changing. So here we are at almost 30%, 30 years of age or older, again some younger, some older than that, and then the new data shows that is a substantial number. If you filter the single excuse me, home buying trend down to millennials and to the number, and the number is even more eye-popping. At a time when a lot of young adults are postponing marriage, the number of Americans buying a house on a single income is substantial. Investopia, if you're familiar with that, if you've read it, Ellie Mae says that as many as 40% of millennial home buyers last year were unmarried. If you're considering buying a home while single, here are a few things to think about. How much can you really afford? Obviously, that's, hey, $450,000 is the median price point. The missing middle we were just talking about, and if you're single, you may only want a 1-1 or a 2-2. So you may be looking, if you're looking in the Nashville metro area, in that $250,000 to $300,000 price point. And hopefully it will not need a lot of work. So it'll be on the smaller side. It'll probably be about 1,000 square feet to 1,200 square feet. Could be even less than that, maybe 800, 400. I just sold a property out in Bat Cave, and it was a 1-1, and it was just under 500 square feet. I just sold a 2-2 condo in Candler. And all of these are under 300,000, under 260,000. And these were for one person or two people. So anyway, so how much can you really afford? So according to the Nerd Wallet, most lenders require that you spend less than 28% of your pre-tax income on housing and 36% on total debt payments. So you, on average, when you're looking at lenders and they look at what's called debt to income ratio, you really want to be about under 37% to get a good rate, mortgage rate. So in that 7.2% that we're looking at in interest rates for the 30-year, or the 6.5% for the 15-year. So but you can also buy down the rates. You can look at equity loans, bridge loans, all those kinds of things, and I can help you with that. I believe in the power of 3, and I have 3 local lenders that I work with: credit unions, local banks, local loan officers. So reach out for that as well. But when you break down those numbers, it may be that you're already above that percentage with rent, right? So if you're renting, you're likely above that 36%, especially if you're in a market where it's escalating quickly, like here. That condo I was talking about, one of my listings right now, that 2-2 in Candler, please call me or text me if you're interested. But that 2-2 is beautiful, by the way. Hardwood floors, open concept, main floor living. We have 2 mountain views, 2 mountains you can see. You have a porch area, really, really pretty. Full bedroom and bath for each person, whether it's a family or a couple or roommates. Anyways, it's only $1,800 a month. So give me a call, 828-290-0940, and reach out to me if you're interested. It is currently we are currently seeking tenants for that property. But anyways, when you break down those numbers and you're in the market and it's escalating, and there's a report, the apartment list shows that rent is up 1.7%, almost 2% from last year. This is a modest increase. It's a modest increase, but rent growth is lagging behind the growth in average hourly earnings. That said, when renters are paying top dollar for a place that isn't theirs, they continue to basically put money in somebody else's pocket. Their expenses increase, increase, their income might not, right? So these are things, this is where the taking advantage of those single individual buyers are taking advantage of equity growth. During COVID was 12%. We're back at about 2.5% to, depending on where you are, right? In the city, you're probably about 5%, 30 to 45 minutes outside of Hendersonville, 30 to 45 minutes out of Asheville. It might be more at about 2% per year. But anyways, those things are all factors, but equity is equity. That means you buy something and immediately, hold on to it for a year, you've gained equity. You've earned money in your pocket. You could, take out that equity. You could do a recast, refinance, and take money out of that equity and build a frog, build a finished room over your garage, build a garage with a room, and then create some rental income. Anyways, these are all ways, as things to think about if you are a single income, single person buyer. Are you prepared for an emergency? This is a good question. Looking at those facts, those fun facts, and we look at all this. If you, according to experts, qualifying for a mortgage as a single person, one of the things that a lot of single people, they get those Ring doorbells, they do a lot in terms of an emergency, but things they need to think about, are they putting enough money aside? I think you want to put about 50% of your weekly earnings aside, if I remember correctly, when I was talking to some investment folks. So that way you can prepare for any unforeseen event, right? And it's more difficult for some people if they're a single person, if you're not married, right, and you don't have two income household. So do you have the credit? Do you have the income, the employment history necessary to get approved for your loan, right? These are the main challenges of home ownership on a single income. Is the potential of job loss or other financial hardship putting you at home risk? Two incomes, it might be easier to absorb a financial hit. So it's always a good idea to put aside money, whether you're a single person, married, what have you. That's the thumbs up from all investors, all bankers, and I'm giving you the thumbs up too. If you got dependents, tell them the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, you should be putting about 50% of your income away each week. Also, if you're single, maybe look to your friends. When you're single, doesn't mean that you have to live alone or even buy alone. Many singles are now teaming up with friends, said USA Today. Hey, unmarried couples are made up of about 10% of home purchases last year, according to National Association of Realtors in their survey. But in some cases, both occupants own the home and they're friends. They're neighborhood pals that hang out together, gym buddies, go to school together, whatever it is. Hey, let's buy down that rate by going in on this together, or let's put our cash in together to put down 5%, 10%, 10%, 20% to purchase that home. So these are all things to think about. And another thing to really consider when you're looking at this as a single person buying things with friends is that anticipating change. So in addition to putting money aside, half of your income or your weekly income, or if you're paid bi-weekly or bi-monthly, whatever that is, put about 50% aside for the unforeseen, the emergency. But anticipating change, staying ahead in a dynamic world. Change is inevitable. Ooh, that's a hard word to say. Let me try to say it quickly. But change inevitably is human life, right? Change happens. It's, one thing we can predict is change is going to happen. So we go through changes as we age, from teens into adulthood, and go through stages of individuation, psychology across the human lifespan. From adulthood, moving out of our parents' houses, going to college, going to a trade school, whatever that is, from early adulthood to our 30s, 40s, 50s, later years, starting new jobs, getting married, kids, retiring, changes occur. So if change is inevitably a part of human life, we go through these changes and we need to pay attention and not be remiss to say that we will handle it well, but to say, to be proactive, we will handle this well, Focus, what's top of mind? Gratitude. Every morning I get up and I talk about my gratitudes. Before I start the radio show, I do my gratitudes, to pace, to pause, to make sure I mention the things, the people, my guests who I'm thankful for. Today my guest is me, and I love having me, because sometimes, I get no-shows. I get people that are sponsored, that are supposed to be on as my spotlight guest of the week, but you know what, change happens, something happens, and they may forget, Anyways, reminders don't always help. So what you can do to control your perception of change. So top of mind, gratitude's what we focus on expands, right? If you look at the energy field and the studies that have been done on horses and dogs across the country, and other places in the world. So there are two ways to perceive change that happen to us. One is the view that change is a positive thing, proactivity, and another that is inherently negative. So glass is half full versus the glass is half empty. Now, if you look at positive psychology and you have a positive outlook and you're focused on what we're grateful for, and that you can make change happen, that you are the master of your destiny. You make your choices. You think and change positively, and that glass is half full. Not that you're looking through the world through rose-colored glasses, but instead you're creating the change with an anticipatory approach. An anticipatory approach, and that's an interesting word, because there was a psychological study that was done years ago, and they looked at the anticipatory response, and the greatest effect of happiness, sort of the set point for happiness, not only was, hey, am I doing better than my neighbor as a set point, but also the anticipation of the the anticipation of the success, the anticipation of that cake, the anticipation of that reward, the anticipation of winning the lottery, the anticipation of purchasing those tickets if you're dueling with your neighbor and your friends or your children, your siblings, etc., on purchasing theater tickets, etc., and they go on sale and you only have minutes to purchase them. That anticipatory response in terms of change is a positive response, right? Think of Pavlov and the bell, right? Dog hears the bell and they start salivating, but that was a learned response. So anticipating change, focusing on the positive, being proactive, looking at the challenge of innovation and technology, thinking about, hey, what are the big talks all the time about technology and AI? That's all positive. It's a very positive experience. Maybe I don't want to think about the Terminator and AI, but I definitely want to think about how AI can benefit us. And, we've been using it for years. So these things that pertain to technology, these things that change to challenges in life, the anticipation of the these are all positive things. So please reach out for any reason, and thank you so much for listening, folks. I really appreciate you listening to me each week on 107.7 FM, AM 1450, going online to gratefulmindsetproperties.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, my Facebook page, Grateful Mindset Properties, texting me, calling me at 828-290-0940. Again, that number again, 828-290-0940. Please reach out for any reason or no reason. I'm grateful today for you listening. Thank you so much.